Hi, so if you are currently using Shopify's checkout.liquid file under your theme code to load Google Tag Manager and all of your marketing pixels on checkout and thank you page on your store, or if you have already moved to, or if you have already upgraded to Shopify's checkout extensibility and have not yet moved to Shopify's thank you page and order status page extensibility and are worried about how will you load all of your marketing pixels and Google Tag Manager on Shopify's checkout page and thank you page, then this training is for you. Hi, I'm Vishal Gor. I'm the Head of Implementation and Services at Elevar, and today I'll be walking you through two different approaches in this training on how you can load your Google Tag Manager and start tracking data in all of your marketing pixels through Google Tag Manager from checkout and thank you page on your Shopify store. These two options, first one would be a bit technical where you will need to know JavaScript, understand a bit about Google Tag Manager and how the tags and variables work in Google Tag Manager. But the second option would be super easy and it would only take 5 minutes of your time to start tracking data through Google Tag Manager in any of your marketing pixel. And spoiler alert, that second approach, the non-technical approach, would be using the Alivar app. So let's get started. So I'm on my screen right now, and if you are able to see a similar sort of warning or an error on your Shopify store that you need to upgrade to checkout extensibility, this means that you have not yet upgraded to checkout extensibility. You might be using checkout.liquid file to load all the pixels, or if you have already moved to Shopify's checkout extensibility and not yet have moved to thank you page and order status page extensibility, then this training is for you. So what Shopify have introduced is, once you move to this thank you page and order status page extensibility, which gives its own advantages on your Shopify store, this section of loading pixels on your checkout and thank you pages right now will be deprecated. So if you have any marketing pixels or Google Tag Manager loading through this section, it will be deprecated once you move to thank you page and order status page extensibility. So instead of that, what Shopify have introduced is called customer events section. So inside customer events section, Shopify allows us to create customer events pixels through which we can load any marketing pixel or Google Tag Manager, the best recommended approach to execute and track data into any marketing platform. So I'll be walking you through this entire section today, and I'll start with the first approach right now, the technical approach, but you can stay here if you want to see the non-technical way to configure everything within 5 minutes. So I'll start with the technical approach first. So if you want to configure the Shopify's customer events pixel, you need to go to settings on a Shopify store. You need to click on customer events section, and from top you can add a new custom pixel. I'm creating one pixel right now, and I will be naming it training checkout tracking. And here it will ask you to place a piece of code which will be subscribing to Shopify's few events that Shopify have defined. So this is Shopify's Help Center article where Shopify have described how the customer events pixel works and what are all the event example that we can use in our setup. So here Shopify have displayed how we can load Google Tag Manager on our checkout page and thank you page using customer events section. And Shopify have also displayed a few events, the default events that we can subscribe to, listen to in a simple way, and read that data and pass that to Google Tag Manager using data layer. So data layer is something that Google Tag Manager understand. It's the language of Google Tag Manager. So basically what we'll be doing here is we'll be pulling the data through Shopify's backend feature and adding that to Google Tag Manager's data layer, so that Google Tag Manager will be able to read all of that data and will be able to use that data inside all the marketing pixels to send that to all the destinations. So these are some of the examples that Shopify have given us, but what I have done for you is I have created this document for your ease of use, and I have made a few tweaks in this document as well in the code. So what I have done here is, first of all, if you would see, there is a function that I have created which is called load GTM on checkout. So this here I have added a Google Tag Manager code, so you'll have to replace the GTM ID here with your Google Tag Manager ID so that you are loading your own Google Tag Manager on checkout and thank you page and not this example Google Tag Manager. How will you find that? Is you will have to go to tagmanager.google.com, and once you click on the Tag Manager container that you are using, it will show you a Google Tag Manager container ID, something like this. So Once you are on your Google Tag Manager page, you will have to click on this ID and it will show you this Google Tag Manager code. So from here, you can copy your Google Tag Manager ID and paste that in the document here, in the code here, and copy this entire code into your customer events pixel. So just to briefly walk you through the two changes that you'll have to make. The first one would be the Google Tag Manager ID change, and the second change, as you can see here, which is highlighted on all the different events that we'll be tracking. So let me walk you through what all events we'll be tracking using this code. So first event would be checkout started. This will execute when the user will land on the checkout pages. So as soon as the checkout page loads, checkout started event will be executed. Second event is add contact information. So as soon as the customer adds the contact information, this event will be executed. Add shipping information when customer adds the shipping information. Add payment information when customer adds the credit card details or selects a payment method and click on pay now. Then this event will execute, and at the end checkout complete will be the purchase equivalent to purchase event, where all the transaction and customer related data will be available. But the caveat here is that in the example that Shopify have provided us in this document, unfortunately there are no details around product. So in the checkout complete event that Shopify have given us here, there is no details about what product that the customer have purchased, the product ID, the name of the product, the price of the product. So in the document, the code that I have given you, I have also added another variable called products, where all the product related data will be available. And how it will look like, I have also given an example data layer for checkout complete here at the end for your reference, for the developer's reference, which you can refer about how the product object looks like and configure your tags in GTM to use values like this. We'll come to this in a minute. But yeah, these are all the events that we will be tracking through this piece of code. And there is one additional change apart from changing the Google Tag Manager ID here, is to decide and update the code based on whether you are using Shopify's one-page checkout or three-step checkout. So how this works is that if you are currently on Shopify's one-page checkout, then it will be the one single page that the user will be on. User will not be moving away from that one single page. So in that case, what you'll have to do is you'll have to load the Google Tag Manager code, which is here, load GTM on checkout, on only the first event, the checkout started event, and the last event, which is checkout complete event. I'll remove this from here. So these are the two events where you'll have to load this piece of code if you are on one page checkout. But if you are using Shopify's three-step checkout, the older version of the checkout, then you'll have to keep this piece of code as it is, so that when user moves from one page to another page, like shipping information page, the GTM loads there. When user moves to the add payment section page, the GTM loads there. And when the user at the end visits the thank you page, the order status page, the Google Tag Manager also loads on that page to read the data that we are passing to it. So this is a little customization that we have done to this, and you need to adjust your setup according to this. So if you are on Shopify's one page checkout, then you'll have to remove the piece of code from add shipping and add payment information section, and you can keep the rest of the setup as it is. So alright, these are all the customization. Let's quickly move to how the setup would work and how it will look like. So I'll quickly copy all the piece of code and we'll go to the Shopify's customer pixel. You need to delete all of this. You just need to paste all the piece of code here. And now Google Tag Manager will start loading on all of these events on your checkout and thank you page, and it will be listening to all of the data that we are passing from here to your Google Tag Manager, including the product data on the purchase event, the checkout complete event. So once you paste all of these piece of code here, you need to click on save, and then you need to click on connect. So now once it is connected, it will show something like this when you click on customer events, that this pixel is connected and now the tracking is active. The Google Tag Manager and all the data layer events are loading on your checkout and thank you page. So coming back to the example, in case you have any marketing pixel that requires you to pass some product level data, how would that look like? So let me show you an example here. So we are on this thank you page, and this is also an example data layer that I have picked up from that thank you page, the test order that I placed. So as you can see, there is a product object here and then an array of object, and then there are different details here inside this. So then there is Inside product, there is a section of variant. Inside price, there is an amount where the product price is available. And here under the product, so it is products.variant.product.title. So in an easier way, let's see the data when checkout complete is on event level 1 here. So I'll show you a quick example how it would look like. So you need to go to products, the first product here, the 0th product, and variant dot product. So this will show us all the product ID and title. So in case you want to use this in your Google Tag Manager, what you will have to do is you'll have to create a data layer variable. So assuming this is your Google Tag Manager, since everyone's Google Tag Manager configuration would be different based on how you have configured it, what all marketing pixels that you are using. So there is unfortunately no generic way that I can show you on how you'll be able to use or access all of this product level data. But I'll show you one example of a data layer variable by creating a data layer variable, how you'll be able to access these values. So what you need to do here is you just need to add product.variant.product.id in a data layer variable, product ID, and this data layer variable will be able to access the product ID value of the product ID inside this product object. So it'll be easier as this. And since this will only be reading the value for the first product, which is visible in the data layer, you'll have to, in case you want to pass the details for all the products which are available in the data layer, for that you'll have to write a custom JavaScript code using a for loop to iterate through all the products which are available inside this data object, and pull the ID and variant and price from this data layer object through for loop. But if this is too much technical for you, I'll show you an easier way right away, using which you'll be able to start tracking data in all of your marketing pixels, and within 5 clicks and in 5 minutes, and without all of these coding and customization hassle. So let's show you the other example, the second approach, the non-technical approach using the Alivar app. So what you have to do is you'll have to click on app section here, and you'll have to search for Elevar. Once you do that, it will show you the Alivar app on your Shopify store. And let me give you a brief about what Alivar is. Alivar is a conversion tracking app on your Shopify store, which allows you to track the most accurate data in all of your marketing platform, including GA4, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, and any platform that you are using. So we have built our own server-side integration where you don't need to use Google Tag Manager's server-side container to send the most accurate data to all the marketing platform. We take care of all the configuration for you using our Alivar's own server-side configuration. So you don't need to worry about Google Tag Manager, server-side container, or Google Cloud, or you don't need to pay any additional charges to Google Cloud to run your Google Tag Manager server-side container. So what you need to do is you just need to install the Elevar app on your Shopify store, and I'll also walk you through the process here as well. So once you click on the Alivar app and install it, it will show you a prompt here to install the Alivar app. Once you do that, you'll be redirected to the Alivar app's dashboard for your store, where it will walk you through the onboarding process, where you'll have to answer a few questions and select your plan here. So I'm creating a new website, so I'll click on the new website if you are already a customer, and if you want to link this new website where you are installing the Alivar app with that already existing company, you can select that. I'm creating a new website, so I'll click on this and continue. After that, it will ask me to add my goal. What is my primary goal? To track accurate data from Shopify transactions, or whatever the goal that you have in mind. It will ask you how technical are you. You don't need to be technical for using Alivar app. It's just for our understanding that we are asking this. I'll select not at all technical, and I'll click on continue. The next step here is Alivar app will ask you to select your plan according to how many orders your Shopify store is receiving per month. If you want to test out the Alivar app, there is also a free starter plan available that you can select from here, which will allow you to process up to $100 per month under the starter plan, along with a 15-day trial. So I'll go ahead with that. I'll select that, and I'll click on continue, and I'll click on continue to checkout. If you want to if you want the Elevar experts to jump in and help you configure the entire tracking setup, including all of the marketing pixels that you are using on your store through Google Tag Manager, and make sure that you are tracking the most accurate data with 100% accuracy in all of your marketing platform, then you can go ahead with purchasing this expert install. Otherwise, you can click on continue to checkout and configure everything on your own as well following this training. So I click on continue to checkout. Use how did you hear about us? So using checkout extensibility training. That's how we heard about it. And confirm and pay. So I'm right now selecting the $0 a month plan, and it will ask me to confirm my billing. So it would take a few minutes. I'll just pause my video recording here. Alright, I didn't have to. The transaction is already approved. I'm on the Alivar app now. Alright, so let's set up my tracking. So first, what it'll ask you is to connect your Google account. This is required because Alivar app also has a Chrome extension using which you can start tracking all of your click actions on your website, like how many navigation clicks users are performing on your website, where users are exactly clicking. So this is for the Chrome extension that we have. So I'll quickly click on authenticate and connect my account here with the Alivar app. I'll click on continue and continue, and here I need to connect my Google Tag Manager account which I want to use. So I'll select the test account, I'll select Vishal test, the Google Tag Manager. You need to select here the account and the Google Tag Manager that you are using along with a workspace. You can select default workspace and that'll be fine. And you will be able to see the my tracking section here, and from here the magic starts happening. So within 5 minutes we'll be able to configure the entire tracking for, let's say, for Facebook ads or for GA4. So right now you can take a look at the timestamp. You can look at the time, and let's start with the configuration here. So first, it is the Alivar app is asking us to set up the Alivar app on the Shopify store. So we'll click on the setup. We can click on get started, and the Shopify store, click on connect. So my Alivar app is now connected with the Shopify store. Next, it is asking for the GTM ID. If you are using any other Google Tag Manager container, then you can add the ID here. I'm using this one, which I already connected to Alivar in the previous step. So it is already fetched here. I click on save and continue. If you are using cookie consent banner like CookieBot, OneTrust, Pendictus, any of them, and you want your tracking setup to be consent compliant, then you need to select yes here. Otherwise, you can keep it to no. I'm keeping it to no because consent configuration requires some additional effort, which is not needed for this training. So prepare your store. So what Alivar app is instructing here is if you have any pre-existing GTM script, the Google Tag Manager script inside your theme.liquid or the status page additional script section, that will be this section, checkout and order status page additional script section. So here, if you have any Google Tag Manager script, you'll have to remove that in order to avoid duplicate tracking, and your additional Google Analytics JavaScript as well. So if you have your Google Analytics connected through online store and preferences section, that will come here. So if you had your Google Analytics configured through here, in earlier days it used to show a box here where you can place any additional script, and people used to load Google Tag Manager through here as well. You can also remove that because it will not be needed, and any of your customer events script. So if you have already tried your hands out with the Shopify's customer events, just like we did, and if your customer events pixel is loading the Google Tag Manager for you, then you need to disconnect that, and that'll be it. I'll also delete this, so in order to avoid the confusion, so that my Google Tag Manager only loads through the Alivar app. So now we have done all of these steps. I'll click on mark as complete. And the next step here is configure custom pixel. So all you need to do is click on copy to clipboard. You need to click here. It will automatically redirect you to your customer events section on your Shopify store, and you can click on add custom pixel. I'll name it Alivar checkout tracking. I'll paste the code here. I'll click on save. I'll click on connect, and that's it. This is the only piece of code that you need to configure here in order to load all the retailer events and Google Tag Manager on your checkout and thank you page through the Elevar app. Now, since I have already done this, I'll click on this as complete, and I'll click on go to Shopify as the final step. So now the Alivar app will redirect me to my Shopify store to enable the Alivar app on my live theme. So I'll do that. So right now I'm inside the theme file where there is a app embed section, and our app embed is enabled now. So I click on save, and I can go back, and that's it. Elevar have already detected the Elevar app on the live theme, and now it is asking us, do you have any non-Shopify subdomain pages? If you have any pages outside Shopify and if you want to track them, you can select yes, I don't have one, and so I select no. So now we'll go to the next section where we'll be configuring the marketing destination. So for this example, let's configure the tracking for Facebook. So I'll click on setup Facebook. I'll click on get started. Here the setup will ask me for the Facebook dataset ID. Dataset ID is basically the Facebook pixel ID. If you are not aware of where to find this, you can click or hover over this question mark, or you can go through this video here which will walk you through how you can get those pixel ID, or you can click on this setup guide to understand where you can get this pixel ID and conversion API token, and the guides are already mentioned here. So for this example, I will name this, I'll give the details as 1234 as my API token and dataset ID, and I'll click on save and continue. Next step, as you can see, on whatever step we are providing multiple choice option to the customer. We have either recommended tag available or a video available next to the step to guide you through the self-serve process. So here I can see the recommended option here to use the best practices. I'll go ahead with that. Since I'm not using consent mode, I decline using that in Shopify source configuration. I'll just click on save and continue. Here the content type, the identifier for the product content, for the content type that Facebook needs. So you can read more about it here or by hovering over the options available here. But the recommended approach, if you don't know what you should be selecting here, then you can go ahead with the recommended approach by selecting product group. Alright, I'll click on save and next. Next is product identifier. So what product identifier you want to send to Facebook with all of your transaction data that you are sending to Facebook. So there is also a video guide here and recommended tag available next to product ID, which is the most popular, and everyone mostly uses this unless you have customized anything in your Facebook product feed. But otherwise you can select product ID and go ahead with that. The next step here is filtering the transaction. So since we are integrating with your Shopify store and we are sending data through Alivar's server side, what we can do is we can read all of your transactions which are being generated on your Shopify store, and we can send all of that transaction data to Facebook ads and all the other platforms. So if you take a look at the sales by channels report in your Shopify store, you'll be able to see multiple channels generating order on your Shopify store. And this is what we have displayed here in this example as well, the sales by channel report and all of these sales channels which are generating orders. If you don't want to send any of these channels from sending data to the destination that you are configuring, in this case Facebook ads, then you can select yes, block some transaction. Otherwise, if you want to send all the transactions to Facebook ads, you can select no, send all, and you can move to the next step. What we recommend is blocking some of the transaction, and once you select the block transaction, it will also show you the best practices where we are recommending to block the returns app and bulk import app as a standard best practices, along with the Facebook's own app, which is Facebook's own sales channel, which are the orders being placed on the Facebook and Instagram shop on your Facebook page or Instagram page. So Facebook already has that data, so Facebook is recommending us to not send that data again. That's why it is already in the filter section. So I'll use this best practices and click on save and continue. The next step is asking whether you are selling subscription products or not. If you are selling subscription product using Shopify's unified checkout, you can read more about that here or watch a video. Then you can select this and it will ask you whether you want to send recurring orders or not. I would suggest not to send recurring orders, and click on save and continue. And as the next step, it will give you a Google Tag Manager code container to download. So I click on this download pre-built web tag, and there is a video, 1-minute video that you can follow, or you can follow along what I'm doing here. So a file is downloaded. What you need to do here is you need to go to your Google Tag Manager admin section, click on import container file, and this is the container file that you want to use. I'll select the existing workspace, the default workspace, and you need to select the merge option here and not the override. I'll click on continue or confirm, and now all of the Facebook tags, Facebook configuration through Elevar is now automatically imported in my Google Tag Manager. So along with all the tags, triggers and variable, all the configuration is already available readily in my Google Tag Manager now. Why it is also available in Google Tag Manager? Because what we are doing as a best practices is that we are sending data to Facebook using browser side and server side both. So for server side, we are using Elevar's own server to send data to Facebook ads so that you can record and report on the most accurate data in your Facebook ads. But we are also sending data to Facebook using the browser side, which is using Google Tag Manager, so that Facebook can deduplicate the data on its own and you can take the most possible advantage of sending data both the ways, browser side and server side, so that Facebook has the maximum possible data available about your customer and the transactions from your store. So that's why this Google Tag Manager configuration comes into picture. So here, as you can see, the purchase tag is already configured, the initiate checkout is here, add payment info, add shipping info. All the steps are already configured here. All the tags are already configured here along with your Facebook pixel. So this is all ready, and I'll click on submit. I'll just name this Facebook tracking and I'll click on publish. And in the Alivar app, since I've already downloaded this web container and have imported the container following this video in my Google Tag Manager, I'll mark this as complete. And Alivar is asking to go live with Facebook tracking. And here you need to just make sure that you have, I'll just click on go live first. And the next step here is how to remove the existing Facebook tracking. So you can follow this 3-minute video here to remove your existing Facebook tracking. And that's it. The Facebook tracking is already live through Google Tag Manager and Alivar Setup. And in Google Tag Manager, now let's create a new pixel here. So let's take an example. Let's say configuring the tracking for Criteo pixel here. So what you can do, you can also, I'll just click on next step here and you can follow the steps here. Do you have more than one domain? I select no. Do you are using any third-party checkouts? I select no. Do you offer post-purchase upsell? If you are using that, we can also help you track the data from that using this guide. Otherwise, you can select no and continue. And we are again reminding you to remove the previous tracking again following this video. If you've already done that, I'll just mark this as complete. And now your Alivar configuration is live. So now if you want to configure the tracking for any other marketing platform, you can click on the add destination here and you can see all the marketing platform that we support sending data through Alivar server side available here. So we are supporting all the major platforms: GA4, Facebook, TikTok, Klaviyo, Snapchat, Pinterest, Taboola, Reddit. And if you are using any other platform, marketing platform other than this, you can click on view pre-built tags library here and you'll be able to see all the other platform where you can send data through Google Tag Manager and Alivar Setup. So you can see a bunch of other platforms that we also support. Let's say if you want to start sending data to Pebble Post, all you need to do is click on Pebble Post. You need to add your Pebble Post site ID here and you need to download the container, and there will be 1-minute video visible here. Using that, you just need to import that container in your Google Tag Manager, just like what we did for Facebook ads, and you need to save and publish, and that will be it. Your Pebble Post tracking will be live through Google Tag Manager and the Alivar Setup. So that's pretty much it for this training. What we walked through today is how you can configure the customer events pixel and load Google Tag Manager on your checkout and thank you pages with the technical approach and with the non-technical approach as well using the Alivar app. So using Alivar app, you can configure all of your marketing pixels through the Alivar app within like five minutes. So it's fairly easy and anyone can use this without going into too much technicalities. So yeah, that's it for this training. If you have any question, please feel free to reach out to help@getalivar.com and I'll see you around. Thank you.